Okay, hi. It's time for Zecher Lemaaseh Bereshis, Parshas Korach, and we're going to begin our new subject, the world of snakes. And we'll start off with an amazing picture showing fantastic camouflage. This is an eyelash viper in Costa Rica, wrapped around a fruit tree, some fruits. I don't know what kind of fruits they are, but as you see, the color of the body is almost exactly the color of the fruits. And we're going to see a lot of chokhmas haborei and power of the borei in his creation of different snakes. There were about 2,700 species of snakes, and about a quarter of them, about 700 species, are poisonous. Now, the venom, the poison, helps the snakes because it allows them to kill their prey without having to fight a long battle with it. The poison itself usually weakens them, the prey, and to the point where they can just wait until it dies, and then they can swallow it. Now, out of those 2,700 species of snakes, and the 700 species that are poisonous, about 300 species, the poison is strong enough and they have enough poison in their body to give out to kill people. So, I personally have never seen a poisonous snake, besides in zoos or aquariums and stuff. But if a person, it depends on where you live. There are certain places where poisonous snakes are quite dangerous, let's say to farm workers in certain places, in India and in China, places like that. In Africa. Anyway, there are two types of poisonous snakes. One attacks the blood and the muscles, and the other one attacks the nervous system, stopping the heart and the lungs from working. Now, there are many other snakes that are dangerous, but they're not poisonous at all. Those are the constrictors. They catch their prey and they loop their coils of their body around the prey around the body as fast as they can, before the animal can bite or scratch them to defend themselves. They sink their teeth into the prey first to keep them from running away or flying away, and then once they get their body wrapped around it, the more the animal struggles, just the tighter they squeeze until the prey can't breathe anymore. There are no vegetarian snakes. All snakes that Hashem made, all 2,700 species, are carnivorous. They are all meat eaters. And they, as I said, they have three ways of killing their prey: either by poison, or by constriction, squeezing them, or by just overpowering them and biting them and gobbling them up. Now, the longest snake is the anaconda. That's in the boa constrictor family. It lives in South America, and they probably average over 20 feet, but there was one that was measured at 37 feet long, which is extraordinarily long. Now, the biggest poisonous snake is the king cobra that lives in India, and that has been recorded as long as 18 feet. I mean, considering the fact that it's got a very strong poison to kill its prey, it's amazing how big Hashem made it to 18 feet. It's also very, very big. Now, some pythons reach 25 to 30 feet long. The smallest snakes are called the blind snakes and the thread snakes, excuse me. And they're about 16 inches long, a little bit over a foot. Now, show you three pictures. These are the top two pictures. The one that shows the hood wide out, that is an Egyptian cobra, and the one next to it is an Indian cobra. Both very poisonous. And before they attack, they rear up. They pick their body up off their head and their neck off the ground, and they spread out the hood. It's loose skin, and their ribs help support it so they stick straight out, and that is meant to scare any predator that they might have that might want to eat them to scare them away. In the bottom picture, the colorful snake is a corn snake. It's not poisonous. It's a constrictor. They are actually very helpful snakes. They eat mice and rats. They are popular snakes and colorful, as you see. There are a few different types of snakes Hashem made, a few groups. One is called the colubrids, which is 3/4 of the entire world's snakes, and most of them are not poisonous. There's elapids, which are all poisonous snakes that live in hot countries. Then there is the viper family, which are poisonous snakes also. They have long, hollow fangs that are folded back inside their mouth when they're not needed, those fangs. And then you have boas and pythons, which kill by constriction. And the fifth group, which we're not going to discuss, is sea snakes. Snakes, Hashem put snakes on every continent in the world except Antarctica. The greatest amount, or the greatest variety of snakes, they live in tropical rainforests where the climate is warm all year round, so they can stay active all the time, because they are cold-blooded, and cold affects them. There are in the tropical forest, rainforest, there's plenty to eat for them. They have insects and bats and frogs and lizards and small mammals. And there are places for them to hide in the trees and on the forest floor, inside, under the dirt and in the rivers. There are many snakes that live in deserts, which they can do because they have been given the ability by Hashem to be able to survive with very little water and very little food. And desert snakes don't need energy from food so much anyway to produce body heat, because they get the heat, of course, from the hot sun in the desert. We have 3 pictures to show you. We have a python that is wrapped around a gazelle. It's a big animal. It's hard to imagine how he can swallow it, but they manage to. And then we see a 20-foot long anaconda in Peru, where some father let his son sit on it. I don't know why. And in the bottom picture is a western diamondback rattlesnake. That's an American snake, and he actually looks like he's ready to bite. That's the way he looks when he's about to bite. When I worked as a shochet in an empire, there was a goy that held chickens for me, and his brother-in-law is an expert snake handler. He lives in Florida in the Everglades, and he set up for Yecheskel Fight and myself to go have a special private tour of his snakes. He had a whole bunch of poisonous snakes, cobras and mambas, and I forgot the other ones, and I guess rattlesnakes too. And he showed them to us. He took them out of the glass cases, and he showed us how he handled them with a special stick. Anyway, he's been bitten many times, despite the fact he's such an expert. I mean, it's not a very great idea to play around too much with poisonous snakes. And I forgot how many times he's been bitten. He says that the most painful bite that he ever got from a snake was from a rattlesnake. So when you go camping in Bear Mountain or other places that have rattlesnakes, just be on guard. Don't pick up big rocks. Very often there are snakes underneath. And if you have a stone wall with crevices in between them, never stick your hands in between them. That's where snakes like to live or hide. Snakes have waterproof skins that stop them from losing too much water. There are very small snakes, I told you, worm snakes or thread snakes, and they live underground where the soil is warm. It keeps them warm. And there's a certain snake, a worm snake, a yellow-headed worm snake, that actually lives under tree bark. They're not poisonous, these snakes. Hashem gave land snakes the ability to move in 4 different ways, depending on what kind of land they're on, and what they have to cross over, and the type of snake it is. There are some that move in an S-shape movement. They wiggle from side to side. And some of them, they they pull one half of the body along first, and then they pull the back of the body with it afterwards. Then there's some snakes that do, it's called side winding. What they do is they hold their head and tail in the sand, and they throw the middle part of their body sideways. And the fourth way is a caterpillar movement. It pulls along in a straight line like this. Okay, now some snakes glide over the ground, some go under it, some climb trees, some swim through water, and there are even some snakes that can parachute through the air. Snakes push themselves, of course they call them flying snakes, even though they're not really flying. Snakes push themselves along using their muscles, very strong muscles they have, which are joined to their ribs. And the scales on their skin also help them grab the ground or the tree, whatever they're moving over, to help them move. I'm going to show you a bunch of pretty small pictures. The top one is a blind snake called Schlegel's blind snake, very pretty snake. And then the next one's a very small picture also. It's in Western Australia. That's called Rosen's snake. I don't know exactly why. Actually, obviously some scientist or a wealthy person in Australia was Zecher to have the snake named after him. And then you have some desert snakes. You have a Nambia sand snake. Let me just show you. Okay, so this is Schlegel's worm snake. And this is Rosen's snake. Mm-hmm. This is the Nambia sand snake. And this is, I forgot already. And this one is, a taipon. This is a very dangerous snake, actually, a very poisonous snake. A taipon, also of Australia. This is a green mamba, a very poisonous snake. And this is a yellow rat snake. So all snakes that eat rats we like. Anyway, it's a big subject, so that's all we'll do for this Shabbos. A great Shabbos. Enjoy the Zecher Lemaaseh Bereshis. How long is that? 12 minutes?